Theater Nova is hard at work bringing this production of Athena to stage. And today we're talking with Shelby Seeley, Joe Wright, and Amanda Buchalter from this production. Thank you so much for being here and joining me.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, happy to be here.
Yeah, excited.
We are so excited to have you on, and you're just a few days out from the opening of Athena. Shelby, how are you feeling about leading into the big day?
I honestly feel so good about it. Like, I've never had a process I'm like, nothing could go wrong. Everything's going so well. I'm so excited for people to be here on Friday. Like, I can't wait.
Amanda, are you still kind of feeling the same way too? Are you getting a little nervous as we're getting closer to that day, or how you feeling?
No, I'm thrilled. Genuinely. I can't wait to share this show with people. I think it's so cool. I think it's really different from what people may have gotten used to seeing. And I think it's really going to impact people. So I cannot wait.
Joe, how about you? What kind of drew you to the show, and how are you feeling about it?
Yeah, I'm a fight director, and I like the idea that action transcends language. And so, in this way, it's fun to see a thing to where two young women get to engage in quite literally a back and forth and contest each other and challenge each other. And as we get closer to opening, my job kind of lifts off a bit because I had a whole thing when we first started, but now the show's basically theirs. So I get to be excited and watch this grow and take off.
That has to be super exciting to kind of see that product come together now as everyone else is fine tuning those pieces.
Yep, definitely.
But Shelby, what's kind of the story of Athena for those who maybe aren't familiar with the show?
Yeah, so Athena is about two 17-year-old fencers that are training together for the Junior Olympics, and they want to be friends. And it's a world of competition where they're practicing together and figuring out this relationship that is going to affect them forever, in my opinion.
What was it about the story that really drew you to it? Because I've noticed that even when we were corresponding about Athena, you had such an excitement for this show.
Yeah, okay, so I have wanted to do this show for as long as I can remember. I don't even know when I read it, but I've pitched this show. I went back through my email when Theater Nova finally said yes. I went back through my email and I was like, how many times have I pitched this show? And it's been at least 4 years and 15 times to theaters all over the state. I've wanted to be directing this show for ever, it feels like. And I wanted to do it because I always say the theater that I want to do and the stories that I want to tell are violently tender and fairly feminine. And when people are like, what does that mean? I'm like, go read Athena, get back to me. Let me know what you think it means after reading that show. So this is just like the epitome of the story that I want to tell, about these strong young badass, and they're also like 17 and fragile, and they have all these they're allowed to be ferocious, they're allowed to be funny, they're allowed to be imperfect, and you just love them. You can't help but love them anyway. So I'm so thrilled to get to do this, and honestly, I'm so thrilled it worked out this way too, because the universe just kept saying, wait, because this is the moment to do this show. This is the time. These are the people. This is what I've been waiting for. So,
I mean, it sounds like such an incredible story to kind of be telling. What was it about it that stood out to you as you were like auditioning for the show?
When I was auditioning,
Yeah.
I've been friends with Shelby for a long time as well. And Shelby truly has been talking about this show for literal years. So when it finally was picked up and came around to having the opportunity to do it, a huge part of it was getting to do a show with my friends.
That's awesome.
And I've started doing fight work in the last 3 or 4 years. So getting the opportunity to do a fight show with my friends was really, really exciting to me. And it's really nice to see a show, stealing a little bit from Shelby's words, that is so ferally feminine and lets women be imperfect and tough and badass and like actually human, as opposed to this thing that is up on a pedestal. It's nice to see some passion and imperfection. So I love this show, truly.
And you're playing Jamie in this production, correct?
Yes, I am.
So who do you feel like Jamie is to you?
Oh gosh, who is Jamie to me? I mean, she's a passionate, tough young woman who just really, really wants to be good at something and be good at something with the people around her. She wants people to get better. She wants to get better with her friends. And I just think that that's, again, something that's really, really human. When you really care about something, it pushes you, and it pushes you to push people around you too.
For sure. Absolutely. So when you kind of got this role and you got this part, and obviously there's a script that you're working with and stuff like that, but how did you kind of develop and find Jamie outside of the page and kind of bring her to the stage?
Yeah. Well, I think Shelby's actually done a really, really good job of helping us with that in rehearsal. After we did our couple of days of working up all of the fights and learning to be together physically in the space, we actually took the time to just sit and talk about these characters and who they are to each other. And I think a lot of those conversations really helped to build the world and make some of those tougher decisions, because this is a show that would be very, very easy to just simplify down to, oh, they're teenagers just living life and couldn't possibly have any emotional depth. But I think that that would be a real disservice to the show. So Shelby really allowed us a lot of time to have those conversations, and that made a huge difference.
So it sounds like you have a very collaborative approach when it comes to directing a show.
Oh, yeah. I like to think that everybody that's working on a show with me is the expert in their own field. And it's an honor and a privilege to get to work with them and to build something collaboratively together. And my job is to just get us all going in the same direction.
Because you have such a love for this project, you've been with this project for so long, it sounds like, in so many different ways. Where do you kind of start then to bring Athena to the stage? Like, do you have to almost take a step back for a moment to kind of reassess the material before you can dive right back into it again?
Yeah, I actually, because I've been pitching it for so long and I kept getting all these no's. When I finally got a yes, I was like, okay, so why this show now? It's been so many years, so why now? And I really came to an interesting place, I think, where these girls are 17. We're putting the show in 2026, which means they would have been 11 during the COVID lockdown pandemic. And I was a middle school teacher during the COVID lockdown pandemic. So I was working with those 11-year-olds. And I saw firsthand like the struggles that they were having to connect to one another when we started to come back. And I really think that this show exemplifies that and that connection that everybody so desperately wants and is often so earnestly going after, but maybe makes a few mistakes along the way, puts your foot in your mouth, that kind of a thing. And I just felt like that was something that audiences today, even adults, will really relate to, because I felt like when I came back out of this lockdown situation that I was having a hard time connecting with people again. So to take these younger characters and see how their fight to connect with one another, I think, is very interesting and very admirable.
I mean, absolutely. I mean, but also what a great dynamic to help kind of bring to the stage. You know what I mean? That sounds like it's so I mean, I guess dynamic's the right word. There's so much going on. There's so many layers to these different characters in the scenario, and what kind of fighting can maybe represent here. So, Joe, when you're kind of starting a project as the fight director, and this one, it sounds like fighting is so integral to the story. Like, where do you begin with developing a vision for that and developing that vision?
Yeah, real good question. When it comes to fight work in general, one of the things I like to avoid is just delving too much into spectacle. I believe action should move narrative, and narrative should flow through action. So if they're not married, it doesn't work for me.
Sure.
One of the things I like to say is to put a little math in theater for a second, that characters have objectives. They take actions to reach those objectives. And when they become each other's obstacles, that's where conflict lies, and that's where fight exists. We help manifest that conflict through action. In this case, fencing, for example, dramaturgically, sits in a place that, especially like riffing off of what Shelby was talking about, how these girls were young in middle school during COVID. It sits in a place where they are now contesting each other, but in a I don't want to say polite, but at least in a way that has etiquette. So there are rules that they have to contest each other by, and they have to learn how to work within that paradigm in order to have this back and forth. And that's where I think foil fencing is a really, really good representation of that. When somebody makes an attempt, and a sincere and honest attempt, but then it's defeated, they have no choice but to allow a response and then deal with that. And one of the characters, without getting too spoilery, makes a wonderful observation on how she approaches solo training. And it's early on, so the audiences will be able to catch it. And elicits a reaction of, well, you're that good, and this is how you just perform this way solo, or train this way solo. And I think that sets up a really good foil, excuse me, for how they're going to interact with each other throughout the process. And so when I begin a project, I guess to circle back onto that, I want to look at what violence or fight or physical contestment means dramaturgically, and then I want to facilitate that for the actors from there.
Are there times then that your vision changes then as you get into the staging of it and you're getting into like the blocking of that, like where you're just like, oh, this doesn't fit like narratively, or it doesn't fit with the emotion of the scene, and you have to change some of that?
Well, in this project, it pretty much flowed very well. I know all the performers,
Sure.
and Shelby and I seem to be very, very much in sync with what we wanted. But yeah, there are plenty of times where I'll have a concept for something, and that might run against what a performer or an actor is feeling or what the director's intent is. And then we adjust, because again, my job as a fight director is facilitation and translation. I get my own say, but if it's not working in concert, then it's just ego. And my job is to facilitate that work. And in this case, I think it all came pretty streamlined. We figure out how the actors want to perform, and then we make characters and actions that flow through that.
I mean, that is incredible. And again, because it's so integrated, it sounds like you can't have one without the other when it comes to it.
Nope, absolutely not. They're inseparable.
Now, Shelby, is there times as well that you feel like your vision as a director changed for what you had for Athena as you're kind of developing it?
Oh, that's a great question. I just think that as we were working on it, this endless pursuit of connection just continued to become clearer and clearer and clearer to me. And I think that it's only strengthened the final product, I guess, is is where I'm going with that.
That didn't change it, but it helped to like fortify it in a way.
Yeah.
I mean, that is incredible. That's incredible when there's already such a strong foundation that all you can do is build off of that.
Yeah, it's been a wonderful process.
And so, Amanda, when it comes to both Jamie and the material, do you feel like your understanding of this character and the story that she kind of inhabited, has it changed over time since you've kind of been with her? Or do you feel like, do you have like a deeper understanding of who she is?
Absolutely. Yes. Yeah. I mean, even just, again, going back to the conversations that we had, it was hard to decide what to do with Jamie from my perspective. And so getting to figure out where she sits in this world, definitely changed my opinions of her. And even just the other day, I was doing some script work and realized that there were some things that were hidden in one particular thing that I say that I hadn't considered before. So, I mean, it changes every time I do it, which is part of why I love live theater. And it changes when I am having the opportunity to perform with the other actors and just seeing what they give me and what reactions I can have to that. It's very organic, and the opportunity to listen to each other on stage makes it different every single time, which I think is really cool.
Do you think that this has challenged you in any way, made you grow as an actor, being a part of Athena?
Yeah. I mean, this is my first time doing a show with fencing, for one. You know, a lot of the other fighting that I have done has been very theatrical, and this is my first time doing a show after all of my fight training. So it's kind of cool to see the culmination of that. But Jamie is so concise and so ferocious, which is not a role that I get to do very often. I'm usually the gentler roles. So it's fun to kind of come out of the gate really hot and pointed. It both from a fight perspective and from an acting perspective. It's been very fun. I've had to make some bigger choices than I typically would.
That sounds awesome, though, that you've been able to have the safe space to also make those adjustments and find kind of your footing with that.
Yeah, I mean, again, Shelby, everybody involved, but Shelby in particular did a really good job of just creating a space that was ripe for making those choices. And it's hard not to have fun with it when you are surrounded by friends and people who are all really passionate about making this a good show.
For sure. Joe, for you as a fight director, do you feel like there's been anything that's been specifically challenging about this production, or things that you just, as they're coming along, it feels almost accomplishment, like it's accomplishing to have it completed because it was like a challenge to get the right sequence together?
Yeah, foil fencing in and of itself is a very concise movement vocabulary. I think that's the best way to phrase it. And creating different feelings just out of the idea of stab, and is a challenge in and of itself. And working with the actors so that they can do a show with no intermission and no breaks, and then think about all, I'm going to say 31 points that they have to make throughout the show with zero time to refresh, zero time to get ready. They go on and that's it. We go.
Oh, wow.
So creating, yeah. So creating that with Shelby and working with her, within her leadership and the actors' goals, was a very rewarding process. And doing things in such a way that helps them, again, tell their story without becoming monotonous and while maintaining personality was a very fine rope to walk. But thanks to Shelby, Amanda, Jen, and Brittany, they allowed for a space where that can happen. I think that's really, really fun.
That's so awesome. Shelby, everyone is praising your leadership here, but do you feel like this show has challenged you in any way, made you grow as well, on top of just the fact that you are exceptional at what you're doing here?
Thank you. I it means so much to me to hear these praises because I've said it before and I'll say it again. It's so special that in a show that's about meeting your match, and being challenged, and iron sharpens iron and one human sharpens another. Like, there's so many things in this show that those are thematic through lines for me, that I feel like with this team, the universe rewarded my patience in putting this show together and gave me iron all the way around. Like, everybody, I've met my match with everybody. Everybody has brought so much to this. I couldn't be happier with just the passion and the precision and the thought and the care. And I mean, every day I wake up excited to go to rehearsals and excited for what everybody is bringing to the table that day. And I can't be more thankful for that. I really feel so lucky. So
That's incredible. The more final question for all of you, and I mean, I'll just start with you, is what are you hoping audiences take away from this production of Athena?
Oh gosh. That is an excellent question. I think that I want audiences to take away how love and challenge can change you. I think that is really what this show is about. And I think that it's important to acknowledge the comfort and discomfort that can come from being challenged in love.
Love that. That's a great answer. Joe, how about for you? What are you hoping audiences take away?
At the risk of being very, very, very obvious, I'm a guy. And
what? No.
Yeah, right. What I really hope they take away from this is that this is a feminine story that allows women to have their own voice. And this is why I've tried to make it clear in this interview that my job was facilitation, not just trying to impose my view on the thing. So it's very important that Amanda, Brittany, Shelby, Jen, they all have their voice come through in this work. And what I really want them to take away is that women, young women, just women in general, are allowed to be expressive, are allowed to take space, and are allowed in some ways to violently take space and be unashamed to do it.
I love that. And I do think that this is the perfect example. Only talking to you, Amanda, and you, Shelby, but there is a lot of passion, there's a lot of care for this. And it shows you that this space is necessary and needed and warranted. And it's great to have a show like this to do that. But Shelby, to kind of close us out then, what are you hoping us to take away?
Oh, so many things, but maybe to just wrap it all up is I hope they take away just an excitement for theater and stories about women and their experiences and their lives. That's
beautiful. Thank you so much for being here. It's been such a blast chatting with all of you. And we cannot wait for the show.
Yeah, thanks so much for having us.
Yeah,
Thanks for having us. Yeah.
So Athena arrives at Theater Nova on July 17th and runs through August 9th. So get your tickets now and we'll see you at the show.